I adjusted my cufflinks for the third time and smiled at my reflection in the gold-framed mirror. You look perfect, I muttered to myself. Not that anyone would see the cracks beneath the surface. Everything I was, everything I pretended to be, was on display tonight. I had to be flawless. Enjoying yourself? A voice asked, smooth and curious. I turned to see her Alina. She stood like she owned the room, though she hadn't raised her voice or demanded attention. Just a tilt of her head, a spark in her eyes. I felt a jolt. I'm managing, I said, trying to sound casual, though my chest raced. And you? Much better now that I'm talking to someone intriguing, she replied, arching a brow. Are you always this composed? I chuckled, masking the tension in my gut. Only in public. Private me tends to fumble over words and spill drinks. She laughed, soft and deliberate. I find that hard to believe. Her eyes lingered. You seem practiced. Like you've rehearsed every smile. I swallowed. Maybe I have. Some of us have to survive. The words slipped out before I could stop them, carrying more truth than I intended. Survive? She leaned in slightly. That's an interesting choice of words. Dangerous even. Care to elaborate? I hesitated, weighing how much to reveal. Let's just say life has a way of keeping you on your toes. Sometimes you play roles because you have no other choice. She studied me for a beat too long. Roles can be revealing, she said quietly. Or deadly if misplayed. I swallowed again, feeling a chill. I suppose you could say that, but everyone has secrets, right? Her smile was faint, knowing. Some secrets are heavier than others. Careful which ones you share. I laughed to cover the sudden heat in my throat. Duly noted. And you? Any secrets worth mentioning? Her eyes glinted. Perhaps. But I'm selective with whom I share them. She sipped her champagne. And what about you? Your life seems fascinating, yet guarded. Fascinating? I leaned closer, playing the game. I'm afraid you'd be bored if I told the whole story. It's mostly missteps, coincidences, and occasional luck. She arched a brow. Occasional luck can ruin someone as easily as it saves them. A shiver ran down my spine, though I smiled. I like to think I'm careful with luck. Careful, yes, she murmured. Her gaze lingered, almost seeing through me. But careful doesn't always mean safe. I nodded, my mind racing. She knew something, or at least suspected. And I liked it and hated it at the same time. Then I suppose I should keep walking this tightrope, wouldn't I? Indeed, she said, the corner of her mouth twitching with amusement, but some tightropes have no nets. Watch your step. I raised my glass to her, the weight of my hidden truth pressing against my chest. Well, I'll remember that. Her smile lingered as she moved away, leaving me staring at the empty space where she had been. And just like that, I realized tonight was more dangerous than I had allowed myself to admit. I barely breathed as I followed Elena through the gallery, pretending to admire paintings. My mind wasn't on art, it was on her, on the way she asked questions that seemed innocent, but cut deeper than any knife. You mentioned you grew up abroad? She asked casually, her eyes scanning a painting. Which country exactly? I froze for a fraction of a second, counting the lies I'd told. A few places, I said, forcing a chuckle. Mostly Europe. Switzerland, France, you know the usual. She tilted her head. Switzerland, huh? I find that interesting. You said France last week. Did I mishear? I forced a smile, heart thudding. Memory's tricky, I guess. Maybe I've moved around a lot more than I thought. Her eyes lingered, sharp and knowing. Or maybe you're hiding something. Some things can't be explained by forgetfulness. I swallowed. The thrill of being close to exposure mixed with a rise in panic. Hiding something? Who, me? I laughed too loudly. I assure you I'm an open book. You'll have to forgive me if I doubt that, she said, voice soft but teasing. Most people pretend to be someone they're not. I shifted uncomfortably. Pretending? Never me. I'm very authentic. Later, I met Mark at the bar. His expression was unreadable, but I could feel his judgment. You're walking on a knife's edge with her, he said quietly, leaning close. Elena isn't like the others. She notices everything. I know what I'm doing, I said with a smirk, brushing him off. You worry too much. Do I? He asked, raising an eyebrow. You've been lying about your background for months. One slip, and she see through you. I laughed, though a flicker of unease crawled into my chest. Mark, relax. She's smart. Yes, but she's also distracted. Everyone is. Everyone's not Elena, he muttered, shaking his head. Trust me on this. You're playing a dangerous game, I waved him off. Danger is my specialty. You know that. But later when I returned to Elena, she caught me off guard again. You said your father was in finance, right? She asked, sipping her wine. Yet your accent doesn't match the places you claim to have lived. I froze. Accents are tricky, I said, forcing a grin. I pick them up and lose them over time. It happens. She studied me, not laughing, not smiling. Or maybe some stories don't match reality. Some truths hide behind little lies. It's fascinating, really. My throat tightened. I suppose so. And your travels, she continued, tilting her head. You mentioned Europe, Asia, America. Yet there are gaps. Months, even years, unaccounted for. Care to explain? I forced a chuckle, pretending calm. Life is complicated. Travel, work, commitments, things get messy. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Messy, yes. But messy can also mean someone's careful about what they reveal. Secrets, perhaps. A bead of sweat pricked my temple. That spark of dread I had ignored all evening flared. She was onto something. I laughed again, louder this time, trying to hide the panic. Secrets? I don't keep secrets. Just stories. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Stories can tell more than facts ever will. I left her side quickly, my mind racing. Elena's curiosity wasn't casual, she was testing, probing. And I realized with a sinking feeling that this game was far more dangerous than I had allowed myself to admit. Elena leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine slowly, and fixed me with that sharp gaze that made my stomach twist. You've never really told me where your money comes from, she said casually, though her tone carried a weight I couldn't ignore. I smiled, trying to sound relaxed. Oh, you know, investments, savings, a bit of luck. She raised an eyebrow. Investments? Any specifics? I cleared my throat. Well, mostly stocks. Some small ventures here and there, nothing too dramatic. She didn't let it go. And the ventures? Profitable ones? I hesitated, weighing each word. Some are, some take time. Risky, yes, but that's the game, isn't it? Her eyes narrowed slightly. Risky can also mean dishonest or desperate. Or both. I laughed lightly, trying to keep the conversation smooth. I assure you I'm neither dishonest nor desperate. Just careful. You say that now, she murmured, but careful doesn't always protect you. People slip. I swallowed, the thrill and dread mingling in my chest. I was dancing close to fire, and I could feel her probing every step. True, I admitted, leaning back. But some slips are manageable. Manageable? She asked, voice soft but piercing. You make it sound like survival is a game you can control. I forced a grin. Survival is about strategy, isn't it? Before she could answer, a new voice cut in. I hope I'm not interrupting. I turned to see Clara, slim, cautious, with eyes that seemed to measure everything in the room. She gave me a polite smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Elena, Clara said, you were deep in discussion. Something interesting? Elena's smile was faint. We were discussing the subtleties of truth and personal finance. Clara's gaze flicked to me. Ah, I see. And you? I forced a casual tone. Just giving my thoughts. Nothing too scandalous. Clara's eyes lingered. Interesting. Some thoughts can reveal more than facts. Do you agree, Elena? Elena's smirk was subtle but deliberate. Absolutely. It's fascinating what people reveal when they think they're in control. I swallowed hard, caught between fascination and panic. Clara's presence added another layer of scrutiny. One wrong word, one misstep, and my carefully constructed world could collapse. So, Clara continued, turning her gaze on me, what sort of ventures do you mean? You must have stories. I hesitated, thinking quickly. Small businesses, startups. Mostly quiet, under the radar. Clara raised an eyebrow. Under the radar? That sounds convenient, I chuckled, masking the sharp rise of anxiety. Convenient is one word for it. Strategic might be another. Elena leaned in, voice soft. You're very good at this, aren't you? Hiding details, controlling what people know. I felt a shiver run down my spine, though I kept my smile. I suppose one develops skills over time. Some for survival, some for personal satisfaction. Clara's eyes narrowed slightly. Survival often forces choices. Some choices are more visible than others. I forced a laugh. Visible? Maybe. Dangerous? Perhaps. But worth it? Absolutely. Elena tilted her head, studying me like a puzzle. You're walking a fine line. Be careful, or the line disappears. Her words struck me like a whisper of warning, and for the first time, I felt a real pang of fear. I had danced close to being exposed tonight, and now with Clara's eyes on me too, I realized just how dangerous this game had become. Elena set her phone on the table and smiled. I finally looked up that firm you said you worked with, she said lightly. It's impressive how little information exists about it. My stomach dropped. It's private, I replied too fast. They value discretion. Of course they do, she said. Yet you mentioned quarterly reports. Public firms usually publish those. I felt heat crawl up my neck. I meant internal reports. I misspoke. She leaned closer. You misspeak often when money comes up. I laughed, forcing ease into my voice. You make it sound suspicious. It is, she said calmly. So tell me again how you paid for your apartment. I hesitated. Savings. I told you that. You told me inheritance once, she replied. Then investments, now savings. My pulse hammered. People have more than one source of income. She nodded slowly. True, but your timeline doesn't match. None of it does. I tried charm. You're overthinking this. You always analyze everything. And you avoid everything, she shot back. So which is it? The words slipped before I could stop them. It was temporary. She went still. What was temporary? I swallowed hard. The money. The situation. Her eyes sharpened. Explain. I can't, I said quickly, not fully. So there is something, she said. Something you're hiding, regret slammed into me. I didn't mean you did, she interrupted. You finally said it. Silence pressed between us. My chest felt tight, my thoughts scrambling. I'd crossed a line I couldn't erase. Say it plainly, she said. Was the money legal? I hesitated too long. Her breath caught. You don't have to answer, she said quietly. That pause was enough. Panic flooded me. It wasn't illegal, just gray, she repeated. That's your defense? It was survival, I blurted. I didn't have choices. She leaned back, studying me like a stranger. Everyone has choices. Not when you're cornered, I said. Not when the alternative is losing everything. Her voice softened, but her eyes stayed cold. And now? Now I'm trying to move forward, I said. Clean. Careful. Using my world as cover? She asked. I forced a smile. That's not fair. But accurate, she replied. You let me believe a version of you that didn't exist. I let you see what mattered, I said desperately. I didn't lie about how I feel, she laughed once, without humor. Feelings don't erase facts. I leaned closer. Elena, please. You don't understand what exposure would do to me. She met my gaze. I understand exactly, my voice dropped. If this comes out, I'm finished. That sounds like a confession, she said. It's a plea, I corrected. I'm asking you to let me fix this. And why should I? She asked. Because you smiled well? Because I trusted you, I said. Enough to slip. Her lips pressed together. That was careless. I know, I whispered. Shame burned through me. I hate that you saw it, she stood, picking up her phone. You should have thought of that sooner, fear spiked. You're not going to say anything, she paused. That depends. On what? I asked. On what you do next, she said. And whether you think manipulation will save you. I forced myself to meet her eyes. Inside, my mind raced. If charm failed, I would adapt. Survival demanded it. She turned away, leaving me with one truth echoing in my head. If Elena spoke, I lost everything. And if she didn't, it would only be because I made sure she wouldn't. I didn't sleep that night. Elena's words echoed in my head, sharp and precise. By morning, fear had settled into resolve. If she knew my weakness, I could either wait to be crushed or turn knowledge into leverage. You look tired, Elena said when we met for coffee. Guilt does that. Fear does worse, I replied. I figured honesty might help. She studied me. More honesty than yesterday? Enough to explain why I panicked, I said. Not enough to destroy myself. Her lips curved slightly. Still protecting pieces. I have to, I said. You would too? She took a slow sip. Try me, I leaned forward. I made mistakes. I took shortcuts. None of it hurt anyone. Yet, she said. Yet, I agreed. But I'm fixing it. With my silence? She asked. With your understanding, I corrected. You've been cornered before. I see it in how you test people, she stiffened. Careful. I don't mean it as an attack, I said quickly. I mean you know what survival looks like. Her gaze softened, just a little. You assume too much. I assume you're human, I said. And not cruel. She watched me for a long moment. Cruelty is easy, control takes effort, I nodded. Then let's be honest about control. Her eyebrow lifted. Go on, you have information that could ruin me, I said. I have loyalty, discretion, and gratitude. You're offering yourself, she said flatly. I'm offering usefulness, I replied. I don't expect mercy. I expect terms. She leaned back, considering. My heart raced. This was the edge, the place where I either fell or climbed. What kind of terms? She asked. Access, I said carefully. Guidance. Time to rebuild properly. And in return? She asked. I'm transparent with you, I said. No more surprises. She laughed softly. You expect me to trust you now? I expect you to benefit, I said. Trust can come later. Silence stretched. My palms were damp, but excitement sparked beneath the fear. This was working. You're bold, she said finally. Or desperate. Both, I admitted. She smiled, slow and unreadable. I appreciate honesty when it arrives late. So? I asked. So we try, she said. Carefully, relief flooded me. Thank you. Don't thank me, she said. Earn it. Over the next days she let me closer. Not fully in, but near enough to see how her world moved. Numbers, meetings, quiet power. I listened more than I spoke. You're learning fast, she noted one evening. I have motivation, I said. She glanced at me. Guilt? Survival, I replied. Guilt comes later, she nodded. That's honest. At night, doubt crept in. One knew I was manipulating sympathy, shaping trust. It felt wrong. It also felt necessary. You're quiet, she said once. Second thoughts? Just aware of the cost, I said. Everything valuable has one, she replied. I told myself that as doors opened, as she paid without asking. As my name appeared beside hers, I told myself I wasn't stealing. I was adapting Dot, and if my conscience protested, I drowned it out with one truth. If I failed now, I lost everything. I adjusted my tie for the 5th time, though I knew it was just for show. In Elena's world, appearances weren't decoration, they were weapons. I smiled as I entered the gala, letting the crowd think I belonged. You're punctual, Elena said, touching my arm. Not everyone here is. I like to blend in, I said lightly. And observe? Observe? She asked, raising an eyebrow. People patterns, I replied. Everything tells a story if you watch closely, she laughed softly. You study people like experiments. Experiments require careful attention, I said. Otherwise they fail. Her smile faded slightly. Careful attention can make enemies, you know? I nodded. I know. But sometimes you need them to underestimate you first. A shadow fell across us. Victor. I hadn't seen him in person, but his reputation preceded him. Sharp, calculating, and suspicious. You're the mysterious new associate, he said smoothly, extending a hand I barely shook. Elena has high standards. I wonder if you measure up. I hope to, I replied, keeping my tone casual. Standards aren't always easy to meet. Victor's smile was thin. Some standards are tests. Others are traps. Which are you? Depends on perspective, I said, matching his gaze. And luck. A little luck never hurts. He tilted his head. I prefer skill to luck. Skill often looks like luck to the untrained eye, I said, letting the edge slip in casually. Victor's eyes narrowed. You're clever. Necessary, I replied. Especially in circles like this. You move fast, he said. Too fast, maybe, I laughed lightly. Sometimes speed is survival. Or arrogance, he countered. Which are you? Both, I said. Depends on the situation. He studied me for a long beat. Interesting. I'll keep an eye on you, and I'll keep an eye on you, I said. Mutual observation seems fair. He finally nodded and moved away, leaving me with the faintest thrill of victory. Not many could meet his scrutiny and not falter. Elena touched my arm again. He's suspicious, I noticed, I said, but suspicion can be managed. How? She asked. By being predictable in small ways, unpredictable in large ones, I said. I control what he sees, and he interprets it as honesty or chance. She watched me, curious. You play a dangerous game. I live in one, I said. And the rules are my advantage if I understand them. Throughout the evening, I maneuvered carefully. Conversations, toasts, laughter, I let them see what they wanted. Charm, loyalty, harmlessness. Every glance, every compliment, calculated. Victor reappeared near the bar. I see you're thriving, he said. or surviving? Both, I replied. I learn fast, and I adapt. He gave a faint smirk. We'll see how long that lasts. I hope long enough to enjoy tonight, I said. After all, events like these are rare. He walked away and I exhaled subtly. I had survived the first confrontation without revealing anything. You did well, Elena said quietly. I was worried. I've been worried too, I admitted. But worry sharpens focus. And sometimes deceit, she murmured, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Necessary, I said softly. To protect what matters. As I watched Victor from across the room, a mix of fear and exhilaration surged. I was playing a dangerous game, yes, but tonight I controlled the board. Each conversation, each glance, each subtle misstep I allowed myself to display, all of it reinforced my place here. And if Victor thought he could unmask me, he would find the pieces were already carefully hidden. Mark's voice came through the phone, low and urgent. You're in too deep, you know that, right? I'm managing, I said, forcing casualness. I've handled worse. You've never played with someone like her, he said. She's sharp. Too sharp to be fooled long term. She likes me, I said. That counts for something. Counts for something until she realizes she's being used, he warned. I laughed lightly. Paranoid as always. She's human. Trust is a thing. I can navigate it. You're playing a dangerous game, Mark said. You don't get second chances when this falls apart. I know, I said quietly, more to myself than him. I've been careful. Later, Elena invited me to her apartment. The air was warmer than I expected, softer. She let me in with that easy smile that hid calculations. You always come prepared, she said, setting down 2 glasses of wine. I like to be ready, I replied. Especially around you. You're evasive, she said, sipping hers. I can feel it. But it doesn't bother me much. I swallowed, guilt prickling. I don't want to bother you. You already have, she said lightly. By being yourself. Complex, guarded, careful. But I like it. I smiled, but the weight of deceit pressed against my chest. I like that you understand me, I said. Or at least try to. She leaned back, relaxed. Understanding isn't the same as forgiving? I nodded slowly. I know. There was a pause. Her vulnerability was subtle, a loosened posture, the quiet trust in letting me sit close. Each moment felt like both a blessing and a threat. You're thinking, she said suddenly, tilting her head. About what? About keeping things together, I said carefully. The world's tricky. People break rules for survival. Some rules are hard to break, she murmured. Even for survival, I nodded, heart tight. I understand. But sometimes choices aren't pretty. You're full of choices, she said softly. Some I can't predict. That unsettled me more than she knew. The thrill of control mixed with panic. I was juggling truth, lies, and her trust, and one slip could ruin everything. Mark thinks I'm reckless, I said suddenly, testing the waters. She arched an eyebrow. Mark? Who? My friend? I said. Always cautious. He worries I'll get hurt or hurt someone else. And you? She asked, leaning in. Do you worry? Every day, I admitted. About losing you, about exposure, about failing. Her eyes softened, but suspicion lingered. Exposure is dangerous, she said. Even now, a cold pang hit me. She wasn't just trusting me. She was noticing the smallest inconsistencies. Something in her gaze made me realize she suspected more than I'd allowed myself to think. You're hiding things, she said finally. I don't know all of them yet, but I can feel them. I smiled faintly, masking the panic. I'm complicated, I said. That's all. Her lips curved slightly. Complicated can be dangerous. Be careful who you trust. Even me. The words hit like a warning bell. Guilt tugged at me, but fear clenched tighter. Losing her trust or worse, her fortune wasn't an option. Survival demanded cunning, charm, and deception, and I realized the game had just become infinitely more perilous. The moment she closed the door behind her, I knew it was over. Elena's eyes held a sharpness I couldn't charm away. I know, she said, voice low but certain. I froze. Know what? Everything, she said. Your money, your lies, your manipulations. I laughed nervously. That's dramatic. Not dramatic, she said, accurate. I've pieced it together. My stomach twisted. Panic clawed at me. Details, patterns, inconsistencies, she replied, stepping closer. You're clever, but not clever enough. I tried to steady my voice. I can explain. You can try, she said. But explaining doesn't undo deception. I swallowed hard. I never meant to hurt you. You meant to survive, she interrupted. And in doing so, you used me. I ran a hand through my hair. It wasn't just that. I admired you. I needed your trust, yes, but I didn't want to lose you either. Her lips pressed together. Trust is earned. You broke it before I even gave it. I felt guilt spike, raw and suffocating. Elena, please. You don't understand the position I was in. I understand more than you think, she said. I know what you did and why. But understanding doesn't excuse it. Her calmness unnerved me more than anger would have. Then tell me what you want me to do, I said, my voice cracking. Judge me? Expose me? I want honesty, she said, full honesty. No games, no half-truths. The weight of her words pressed down. Confession would destroy me or free me. Deception could buy me time or seal my downfall. I considered fleeing, but my pride refused. I did everything to survive, I said finally. Some of it unethical, gray areas, but nothing criminal. Her eyes didn't waver. Gray areas can ruin lives. Do you think yours is untouchable? I hoped, I admitted. I tried to be careful. Careful isn't enough, she said. Not when you use people. I swallowed, desperation rising, then help me fix it. Let me prove I can be trustworthy. And if I refuse? She asked, voice sharper. Then I lose everything, I said honestly. My life, my future, everything I've built. A flicker of curiosity crossed her face. Everything? Yes, I said. But I can survive if you let me. I can make things right. You mean manipulate your way out, she said, narrowing her eyes. Not manipulate, I corrected. Adapt. Learn. Earn your trust properly this time. She studied me silently. The tension between us felt like a blade hovering over my chest. My pulse thudded in my ears. One wrong word and all my schemes collapsed. You have one choice, she said finally. Confess fully or walk away. I felt the weight of every lie, every slip, every careful deception. Panic surged, but rationality forced a decision. I couldn't run. Not yet. Then I confess, I said, voice firm, though my hands shook. I'll tell you everything. No lies. No omissions. Her gaze softened slightly. Finally, as I began to recount the truth, shame and fear churned in my stomach, but so did a strange exhilaration. The mask I'd worn for months was cracking. And for the first time, I realized this was more than survival. It was my chance at control, at redemption, or at revenge. I entered Elena's office, confident at first, but the moment I saw her waiting, my confidence wavered. You're late, she said calmly, not needing to raise her voice. I had traffic, I replied, though I knew she saw right through it. She didn't comment. Instead, she gestured to the chair. Sit, we need to discuss boundaries. Boundaries? I asked, masking unease with a casual tone. We've already agreed on trust and transparency. Trust doesn't mean control, she said, voice measured. I need to know my influence here is respected. I forced a smile, of course. I'm here to cooperate. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Cooperation is subjective, I swallowed. Then tell me what you want. I want honesty, full disclosure. And I want to see initiative on your part. I felt a flicker of panic. Initiative? Yes, she said. Decisions, responsibility, accountability, not just charm and compliance. I nodded, forcing calm. Understood. Good, she said. Now, regarding the people you've interacted with. I froze. My mind raced through names, conversations, small lies. What about them? You've left a trail, she said softly. Subtle but noticeable. Questions arise. Rumors start, and I don't like surprises. I swallowed hard. I can manage it. Can you? She asked, leaning forward. Because I've been cleaning up after you for months. I decide what happens now. A chill ran down my spine. Cleaning up? Yes, she said. You manipulated situations, people, perceptions. Now you face consequences. Socially, professionally, personally, I felt the first real pang of fear. You're serious. I'm always serious, she replied. I allowed your access. I trusted your discretion. You made your choices. Now I choose the pace. Her calm control was terrifying. You're turning the tables. Exactly, she said. I see clearly now. I know what you're capable of, and I won't let it be used against me. I tried charm. Elena, you don't need to. Don't interrupt, she said. Actions speak louder than excuses. And yours are loud enough to attract attention. I leaned back, heart pounding. So you control the narrative? Precisely, she said. Every misstep you made is now visible to me. And some things will reach others if you falter again. I felt exposed, vulnerable in a way I hadn't experienced in months. I understand, I said, voice tighter than I intended. Good, she said, because from now on I'm setting the boundaries. You follow them, or consequences escalate. I tried to measure her tone, searching for softness, but there was none. Only calculated power, a force I couldn't charm or manipulate. Fear is a motivator, I said quietly to myself. It keeps you sharp, but this wasn't just fear, it was a new vulnerability. The first taste of what it felt like to be at someone else's mercy. Elena stood, smooth and deliberate. You've had your fun. Now you'll live with the aftermath. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. Every smile I'd faked, every step I'd taken to control situations, it all seemed fragile now. As she left the room, I realized I wasn't leading anymore. I was following. And the illusion of my confidence unraveled like silken fire. I surveyed the room, Victor across the way, laughing with a group of colleagues who had no idea how much of their reality I controlled. I had to act now or lose everything. Victor, I said, sidling up beside him. He turned, expression cautious. I was wondering when you'd show yourself. I've been observing, I said smoothly. You move quickly, impressive. He raised an eyebrow. Flattery or a warning? Depends on how you take it, I replied. I think we can both benefit from alignment. Victor studied me, suspicion clear. Alignment? Interesting choice of words for someone I barely trust. Trust is earned, yes, I said, but mutual interest can accelerate it. He snorted. Mutual interest can also mean mutual destruction. Or survival, I countered, letting my grin hint at danger. Choose your perspective. He narrowed his eyes. You're bold, desperate, I admitted, and careful. A combination worth considering, he chuckled. You've got guts, I'll give you that. But one wrong move, and everything collapses, I finished. I know. That's why I'm precise. He studied me, then nodded once. Fine, but remember, I notice patterns. I notice mistakes. I wouldn't dream of giving you either, I said. Later, Elena appeared at the edge of the group. My pulse quickened. She smiled faintly, watching me orchestrate a conversation with subtle manipulations. You think you're clever, she murmured when I leaned close. I have to be, I whispered. I can't afford mistakes now. You've always moved pieces, but some are visible, she said. I control what's visible, I said confidently. I'm careful. Her eyes glimmered. Careful can be predictable, I forced a grin. Then I adapt. She shook her head slightly. Adaptation is easy to anticipate if you know the player. My chest tightened. You expected this? Of course, she said, voice low. Every maneuver, every word, I anticipated. That's why you have me here, observing, letting you think you're in control. I staggered mentally, disbelief clawing at me. You planned this? Not planned, she said. Calculated. I let you gamble because I wanted to see how far you'd go. How much you'd risk. I swallowed hard. And Victor? Victor is a piece, not the player, she said. He tests you indirectly. He reinforces the illusion. You did exactly what I expected. Then everything? I asked, voice tight. Was under your observation? Her lips curved faintly. Every risk, every choice. You think you're regaining power, but you're performing exactly as intended. Fear, exhilaration, and a sharp taste of shame hit me all at once. I'd orchestrated a game to reclaim control, to manipulate, to survive, and it had been anticipated from the start. You can stop pretending now, she said softly. Or continue. But no, I see everything. I forced a laugh, shaking my head. I underestimated you. You did, she said simply. And now you see the stakes aren't what you imagined. I glanced at Victor, then back at her, understanding for the first time how delicate my position had become. Every move, every lie, every manipulation, Elena had been ahead all along. And yet, I said slowly, I still have choices. Yes, she said, watching me intently. But choose wisely. The next gamble will define everything. My mind raced. The thrill of the game remained, but so did the fear. I realized now that survival wasn't just about cunning, it was about understanding the player, not just the pieces. And Elena had already mastered the board. I watched Elena from across the room, her presence calm, assured like she had always been the one calling the shots. I had survived, adapted, and manipulated when necessary, but the victory felt quiet, almost hollow. You did well, she said, approaching, her voice soft but firm. Better than I expected. I had no choice, I said lightly, though my chest tightened. I learned fast. You did, she admitted. And you proved yourself. I smiled faintly. Then everything? Everything, she said. Access, trust, influence. You've earned it, I nodded, feeling the weight of each word. It wasn't handed to me, it was claimed. Carefully, strategically. Every lie, every risk, every manipulation had led to this. And what about the past? I asked quietly. The mistakes? Lessons, she replied. Some harsh, some subtle. But they defined the present. I glanced at the people around us, unaware of how close they had been to realizing the truth. My old life, my old persona had been stripped away. I was new, more cunning, more aware, but also more alone. You're changed, she said, studying me. Not the same person who walked into my life. I can't be the same, I said. Not after everything. Her lips curved faintly. That's survival. Or adaptation, I corrected. Survival alone isn't enough. You need skill, patience, and timing. You've shown all three, she said. And yet? I prompted, sensing the weight behind the pause. Yet there's cost, she said softly. Friendships, innocence, trust. They're gone. You've survived, yes, but you've paid. I nodded slowly. I know, I feel it every day. And yet I can't regret it. I couldn't have survived otherwise. Then you've accepted it, she said. Not everyone can. I've accepted it, I admitted. Because survival is messy. Because power is earned, not given. And because I've learned what it truly takes to stay ahead. She studied me silently. I imagined she was weighing every word, every nuance. The thrill of our game had ended, but the consequences lingered. You're ready, she said finally. Ready for the next stage, whatever it may be. Ready, I echoed. But inside, I knew readiness was never certainty. Every step forward now would be measured, calculated. Every relationship a potential risk. Every choice a gamble. Do you feel victory? She asked quietly. I considered it. Bittersweet, I said finally. I have power, influence, freedom. But the cost, it lingers, she nodded. And that's the lesson. Every gain has a shadow. Every success a price. I smiled faintly. Then I'll wear the shadow well. Let it remind me what I had to do, what I had to become. She looked at me, unflinching. And will you ever forget? I'll remember, I said. Every deceit, every gamble, every risk. But I won't let it define me. Only guide me. She nodded once. Then go. Use what you've earned wisely. I walked away, the room fading behind me. Silence followed, no applause, no accolades, only the quiet weight of survival. My hands itched with power, my mind sharp with calculation, and my heart heavy with memory and regret. I had won. Yes. I had survived and thrived. But in that victory, I understood the price. Relationships fractured, innocence lost, trust shattered. And yet I moved forward stronger, wiser, and painfully aware of the game I had mastered. Silent, steady, and victorious, I had everything and nothing. I sit alone in the apartment, the city lights spilling through the windows. Quiet except for the faint hum of life outside. Its strange victory feels heavier than defeat. Mark called earlier. You did it, he said, voice rough with disbelief. I survived, I corrected, leaning back. That's all. Survived? He scoffed. You manipulated, lied, risked everything. That's more than survival. Maybe, I said quietly. But survival is messy. It doesn't come with glory or applause. Silence followed. I remembered Victor's wary gaze, Elena's calculating eyes, the nights I stayed awake planning, manipulating, balancing lies and truths. Every move exact, every risk measured, every smile a mask. You're different, Mark said finally. I can hear it in your voice. I know, I admitted. I am different. I had to become it. There were costs. Friends lost, innocence abandoned, trust shattered. Every relationship I touched bore fingerprints of my deception. And yet I could not regret it. Regret would undo the purpose, unravel the lessons learned in fire and fear. Elena. She trusted me enough to let me play, enough to see how far I would go, and yet she controlled the board the entire time. I respect that. Fear and admiration entwined. I had underestimated her, and in doing so, learned the sharpest lesson of all. Survival is never solitary. It demands allies, awareness, and sometimes cunning beyond conscience. I poured a drink, swirling the amber liquid, watching the reflections dance on the glass. Is this what victory feels like? I muttered. Mark's voice came again, softer this time. It's complicated. Don't lose yourself in it. I won't, I said, but I won't forget either. Every gamble, every deception, every fear. They've made me stronger, sharper, aware. And the moral cost? He asked. I shrugged. Morality is a luxury. I survived because I had no choice. Justice, revenge, trust, they're all concepts. I played the game as it was set. If anything, I learned that winning requires more than strategy. It requires understanding human nature, fear, and desire. And the courage to act despite guilt. Silence filled the room again. I stared out at the city, feeling both powerful and hollow. I had everything. I wanted influence, wealth, survival, but at what cost? Shadows lingered, ghosts of lies and sacrifices. Closure? Mark asked. Partial, I said. Closure doesn't erase the past. It just reminds you that you lived it, survived it, and learned from it. I moved forward not unscarred but awake. I raised my glass to the night. To survival. To lessons. To the quiet victories that leave a taste of ash. And with that, I let the silence settle around me, letting the city hum its indifferent lullaby. I had won, I had survived, and yet I knew the game never truly ends. It only evolves. And so do I.